Hi, welcome to the Mix-Up. My name is Steven Lopez. I am a telehealth specialist and one of the facilitators for the Mix-Up. And in theme with mental health awareness, I wanted to bring in a really special guest. Aaron, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Aaron Mason. I am the clinical director and a licensed marriage and family therapist here at Reach LA.
Awesome. So Mental Health Awareness Week, you know, one of my personal favorite weeks. I just love talking about mental health awareness, really breaking down that stigma, you know, because stigma is really the thing that gets people away from, seeking out help and getting into mental health awareness. So I just wanted to ask, you said that you're a clinical director here.
Yeah.
What got you into the mental health field?
So I'd say that kind of from a young age, I've always been really curious about why people do what they do.
Right.
And I think growing up, a big piece of that was kind of our survival strategy. Because if I could figure that out, then like it meant safety for me as a child.
Right.
And so I didn't have that insight as a child, obviously.
Okay.
But once I got into the field and really started doing my own personal work around my own mental health, I kind of discovered, okay, so this maybe is what drew me to the field.
Right.
And so I really have to make sure that I kind of have my own awareness around that so I don't bring that into a session with the client.
Okay.
But yeah, so I went to undergrad in San Diego and I studied psychology.
Oh, nice.
And I think at the time it was the thing that like I didn't hate the most.
Right.
Yeah. College was kind of, undergrad at least was really just more about, at the beginning at least, was really just more about the experience of being in college.
Okay. And did you, I was just wondering, was psychology like your first choice that you went into? Or
no,
did you
actually,
you shopped around a bit?
I think I was trying to impress my mother. And so I was like bio at first.
Oh my God, same. I was pre-med.
This is not for me. Yeah.
Right.
And so I got into psychology and definitely, piqued my interest once I really got into the coursework. I was able to I got a grant from the Ronald E. McNair Scholars, and I did some undergraduate research.
You're a McNair Scholar?
Oh my God, are you a McNair Scholar?
I'm a McNair Scholar too. Hey, look at that. Getting us into higher education, getting our master's and PhD.
Exactly. And so they helped me go to get my master's later. But yeah, I did some research around body image for the LGBTQ community.
Wow.
So that was kind of my introduction to psychology. And then afterwards, I worked with autistic kids for like 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Doing applied behavioral analysis. And then I worked at a rehab for about a year and a half before I was like, I want to go back to school and really like delve further into this. Working with teenagers, I think really sparked my interest in going deeper into the field. So yeah.
Okay, cool. I love that you said that you worked at a rehab facility because honestly, that's really what brought my interest into the mental health field. Just the whole idea of addiction, just like the struggles that people go through and just finding ways to get people into a more healthier mindset where they could leave these troubling, life choices behind, and it's to each their own, but these troubling life choices behind and pursue just better things. So my research when I was doing McNair, it was focused around substance use expectancies.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So like how you said, you wanted to know why people do things what they do. I wanted to know, why are people doing drugs, right? And especially the harder drugs, because we live in California. We have marijuana already legalized. We have magic mushrooms who are coming up soon. Hopefully we become the new Colorado out here. But, why do people like partake to do like methamphetamine or heroin? So it was really rewarding, and I can't wait to like continue my research on that once I get into my master's. But I wanted to ask, what was kind of your first experience in like the mental health realm, with your own personal experience?
My own personal actually my first experience was when I was in undergrad. There was a woman who was in the master's program on the campus where I was, and she needed to do like an interview with someone that's like, she was learning how to be a therapist essentially.
Right.
And so she had a session with me when I was in undergrad, which is just really interesting to have like it was the first time I think I had really experienced somebody trying to see me that deeply, like somebody really focusing all their attention on me.
Right.
I don't think about that too often, but that was actually my first experience with receiving some sort of mental health services.
Wow.
And then
and so older in like at least like, you know, I've heard people in elementary school, middle school.
No, I didn't. Yeah,
but like this is in college.
Yeah, this is in college. And then I actually didn't go to my own personal therapy until I got into my master's program.
Oh, wow.
Because my master's program, which I absolutely agree with, required that therapists in training get at least 30 hours of personal psychotherapy.
Right.
Which I think is important because I think you need to know what it feels like to be on the other side of the couch.
100%. 100%.
But I've been with the same therapist ever since. So I've been seeing her for like 10 years now.
So they work for you?
Yeah, she was amazing.
You're going to need to connect me because I'm on the lookout.
Give you the digits.
I'm on the lookout, amazing, you know, because so from my personal experience, I've always wanted to go out and talk to somebody. It's kind of always felt like a need for me. And from a young age, I never really saw it as anything of being bad, stigmatizing. I felt and I knew that it was important. So a little personal story. I remember when I was about maybe 13, 14 years old. It was right when I was about to come out. My parents wanted me to see somebody. They thought that perhaps there were some thoughts that were going on in my head that were like, you know, making me go down this route of homosexuality. So I was just like, okay, I'll go see somebody. Like, let's see. I had my session with her. The intake was great. Basically let her know, you know, who I am and what's been going on. And it was so validating because at the end, you know, I did tell her that I was coming out as gay and my parents were struggling with that. And it was very supportive. Like, you know, you need to be yourself. You're coming into an age where you're starting to know what you like, what you don't like. And it's important to be honest with yourself so you can have that communication with your parents. We set up a new appointment to have my family. So it was going to be like from a personal session to now a family session. And the family session did not go well.
Because they thought they were sending you to reparative therapy and really they sent you to affirmative therapy.
Exactly. Exactly. And we, you know, I thought the session went great and I find out that like next week, I'm not going to my next appointment because my parents decided to pull me out. So that was a struggle because it's just like, at that point, I was just like, I need somebody to talk to, you know? I need somebody to help me kind of figure this out, kind of help me kind of regulate my emotions. So then once I got into like high school, I started going to see the school counselor. And girl, I'm sorry, but honey, girl, I was seeing a therapist from like freshman year to senior year. Like anytime anything got too stressful, I sought out help. Because I knew it was important. You know? And I think that my experience, I hope to like for people to know is just like, never be ashamed to go out and seek help because we need it. Like life is very stressful.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that your first experience with therapy was positive enough that you thought it was safe to come back when you needed it.
And that's not to say I haven't had bad experiences, you know?
Yeah, that happens for sure.
And sometimes it's not even bad experiences just because I've had bad therapists. It's just the system.
Not a good fit too sometimes.
And the system in itself is it's difficult to navigate.
That's
you know, you have intake sessions with somebody and I have a thing where I like, okay, I've done this so many times and I just like, I know I need to open up. I know I can't hold anything back. I don't want to lie. So it was always a struggle having to do new intake sessions with new therapists and just continue opening myself up and then just like, oh, it's not the right fit. Oh, I can't like take clients on right now. It's just like, oh, I can only give you 5 emergency sessions right now. And just like, those are important, but it's just like seeking long-term help. Still in the process of that. But
I mean, it's such a vulnerable space to be in, right? It's one of the most vulnerable spaces to be in. And so yeah, I think, you know, having to go through that process over and over again, I can see how that can feel really daunting,
right?
Because you don't want to continue to have to open up to different people. So
right,
makes sense, yeah.
And it's normally easy for me to open up to different people. I'm an open book, you know, but there is somewhat of a challenge.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned earlier, some of the things that you went through as a young person, specifically around your family and the level of acceptance. I think here at Reach, and I think in generally working with the community, I see the biggest themes being this sense of like a lack of belonging and shame tied to our identities, which sounds like was evident when you were or present when you were growing up.
Right.
And so I think that's one of the reasons that we tend to seek, chosen family, because as human beings, we want to belong. Like that's just wired into us.
100%. We're social animals.
Exactly. Yeah. We're social animals. And so we actually thrive when we're a part of a group. And so for a lot of folks, it's finding community. And also even in a therapy session, I think about like, does this person feel fully accepted and fully seen sitting across from me?
And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, you're kind of able to have that idea in your head, especially when going into session and having, your provider want to go the extra mile to make you feel wanted or make you feel like you belong. Yeah. It's very powerful.
It's the foundation of good therapy, I think. Yeah.
Right. Right. And when did you learn that? Yeah. Like when did you think like that was just like,
when did I learn that? Yeah. I think in grad school, I had really great professors. There's a theorist that I really like too. His name's Carl Rogers.
Got you.
And he really hones in on the therapeutic relationship as the mechanism of change of like what helps heal.
Right.
And I mean, like you see over and over again now, research continues to come out saying that relationships are important. Relationships are what, at the end of our lives, really are what make us feel fulfilled. Yeah. And so, and research continues to come out that says despite or regardless of the different type of therapy a therapist practices,
right,
if the relationship is not good, the therapy won't be effective.
Got you.
So the foundation has to be that therapeutic relationship. Yeah.
Right. And so good that you're just so well versed. You're jumping into like the research about it and just really working on yourself to be sure that you're the best that you can be for your client.
I love the field. I love my job. Yeah.
That's good. And that's good. This is definitely something. And I love that, you're saying that it's important to build community because that's something that we here at Rachel Aid you do it amazingly with your sessions and about being a part of the mix up. This is a place for queer identifying, men identifying individuals to come in, be amongst people that look like them, that share similar experiences, to build connectivity amongst another, almost like a brotherhood or a sisterhood, however you want to see it as. So I'm just happy and blessed to be able to create that space. But tell us about the services that you do here as well and how to get connected.
Yeah, absolutely. So we offer free mental health services to the community, the people who identify as BIPOC and LGBTQ. We have 3 therapists on staff, myself, and then 2 other associate clinical social workers who are wonderful. And so, the services are about 12 sessions, but we have the flexibility to increase them if necessary. And then once we come toward the end of that work, we'll definitely make sure that we help with referrals to long-term therapy if people need. Some people feel like they've gotten the skills that they need. They feel like they've had a good stint in therapy and they're ready to kind of close out. But if people need long-term services, we also want to make sure that we refer them to those as well.
Right.
And then I think Reach also just has so many great components to their programming that supplement, with that work towards good mental health.
Of course.
So movement and dance, right? The social groups that create that sense of belonging, gamer night,
just,
all these places where you can find community and find ways to connect to folks, which again, relationships are what heals. So if we're helping facilitate a space where good relationships are being formed, I think we're doing a great job for mental health.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's to mental health awareness and to creating spaces. Thank you so much for this talk. It was so great having you. And for all you watching out there, please come out to Mix Up and join our beautiful community. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandy. Welcome to Petals, a lesbian and sapphic brave space. Today, I brought our lovely guest, Alexa, here with me. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, my name is Alexa Guzman. I'm the program coordinator here at Reach LA by day, and I'm a poet and model by night.
So I brought you on today because we wanted to talk about mental health for mental health awareness. And I thought it would be really important to talk about our mental health journeys as women of color, and what your experience has been, especially in like the environments that we were raised in as women of color, specifically like our families, our upbringing, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So it's like huge, right? Like a broad topic. Like just speaking personally, I actually came to California for my mental health, I guess you could say. I don't know if it was so intentional, like conscious. When I did decide to make the move, I think it was just like I was kind of really tired of feeling like tired every day and like just not productive and just feeling like I'm not going nowhere. I just needed to like change something, and I didn't have, I wasn't going to a therapist or nothing. And like, that was like the only change I could really make was like an environmental factor change. And so that's kind of like what inspired me to come out here, kind of leaving a toxic situation.
Did you feel like you weren't able to talk about like your mental health, struggles and things like that with your family?
Yeah, for sure. Just how my family is, my mom's Black, my dad's Puerto Rican. So kind of being raised in that household, I will say I was privileged in a lot of ways because we didn't really struggle financially. But you would think that would come with more, I guess, like a high-end level of emotional awareness, but it didn't. So I never really, learned about my emotions. So I never, like when I was sad, I never learned any coping mechanisms, and it was never really even acknowledged, period. Like angry, anything other than like just baseline, like normal or happy. So yeah, it just like since I was a kid, that was just not the environment that they created to talk about feelings and like this is a safe space. It's just not normal to me. And so, obviously growing into adulthood, given that that was never my foundation, that was never something I was comfortable really talking to them about as I grew up. And it's crazy because I actually like more so recently found out that my older sister, who's 5 years older than me, like she's been struggling with mental health, and I literally had no idea. Like my family didn't talk about it. Like, and I guess like nobody owes it to tell me, but there's just that hush hush. Like I didn't even know that my own sister was going through something. So yeah, I definitely have never really felt comfortable talking to them about that stuff.
Right. I feel like for myself too, like I grew up in a very like emotionally volatile household. And I feel like even though, typically like people will say like the oldest daughter of like an ethnic household has like the worst fucking position, right? I grew up with just like me and my brother, and I'm the youngest. And I still felt as though like, because I was like the daughter of the family, like I was sort of expected to bear the weight and the emotional burden of everybody else in the household, especially like my mother, right? And I feel like with my mother and the environment that she was raised in and everything, like, and what her mother expected of her, like she wasn't allowed to express like being overwhelmed or how much she was suffering or going through. And so, I would say that she wasn't necessarily someone who would steal her emotions and like be like cold or anything, but it was more like she's very reactive. And so, I think like at our worst, sometimes we would say a lot of cruel things to each other, things that we didn't mean, fights would be, it would just escalate so easily. Right. And then followed by like a very kind of just like, a reconciliation on my end, because I sort of learned how to navigate those situations. But it just sucks.
Yeah. Well, I love the insight that you had, talking about how like you can kind of take a step back and see how like, how she came from a mother who may not have been able to provide her with the stuff she needed. Cause that's kind of like what I'm struggling with right now is like, I understand that like my parents, more than likely are not like bad people, right? Like they want to be able to give me what I need, but they just can't because of their parents and their parents and their parents on. But it's like, I'm kind of treading that line of like, okay, I can understand that you might not have had the best childhood, but where does that leave me knowing I have all this hurt now? And like, I'm taking it upon myself to make sure I try to like, fix those things.
Right. And I think it's like a very complicated subject to deal with. And it's a case by case basis, obviously. But something that my brother actually offered me was like, you can understand where it comes from, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to forgive it or be okay with it or accept it, right? I feel like a lot of my journey has been making peace with what I had to deal with as a child, as well as like, if I want to preserve our relationship, like I know I have to put in extra work, but the only reason that I feel like it's worth it is because my family and my mother specifically has been receptive to that change, which I know is unique and I know doesn't happen. But at the same time, for a lot of people and a lot of, for a long time in my life, I also felt as though what was best for me was to remove myself from that situation as well. So I also live, half across the country. And, I kind of say like, my relationship with her now is long distance. And like, that's kind of been the best thing for us, honestly.
Yeah. It's hard though, because I feel like I always get asked about my family and I always have like a fake like answer prepared, like, oh yeah, we're good. Like they're good. Just because I feel like it's just seen as so like bizarre if you don't talk, especially your mom, I feel like, especially as daughters, I feel like it's just a relationship that people expect to be so tight and solid. And so I think that, that's kind of getting in the way of my forgiveness with my relationship with my parents is like, just kind of mourning the relationship that I feel like I should have with them.
I mean, I feel like it's always like my hope that mothers feel towards their daughters that they want better for them, but oftentimes it's like if they grew up in these like cycles of hurt, like they're hurting us the same way that they were hurt. You know what I mean? And if we don't get that, then it's like, this weird dynamic of like, oh no, like you need to go through what I went through. But it's like, why? Did you want better for me? You know what I mean? Didn't that really like mess with you when you were younger? But
I just think it's crazy because like my family, at least, like I don't know nothing really about like my parents' story. So it's like, I don't know if you have any insight of like details of how your mother was raised, because then you can kind of see like you can track the patterns generation by generation. I don't really have that luxury. It's so hush hush. That was actually one thing I brought up to my parents of like, I really do with now I don't really talk to them. Like it gives me anxiety to talk to them just because it's like whatever. But my point being, I think I lost my point.
No. I feel like you were kind of talking about like the difference between seeing your parents as parents and the roles that they assume as like your mother and your father versus like seeing them as people and seeing like you are the person that raised me, right? And sometimes I guess in your case it's like they don't want to open up and or like they feel like they're not supposed to, right? And I feel like a lot of that comes from the fear of like what would happen if I shared with you like why I'm like this, you know what I mean? Or what would happen if I actually admitted to like making mistakes when I was raising you, you know? And it's like I don't know. It's a lot, but I think like right now, like I guess I just want to commend you for like making the best choice for yourself and like knowing that like okay, as it is right now, let me just get the fuck out of there. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of people feel like they're not allowed to make that decision or they're guilty or like, ashamed of having to do that.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't have the opportunity to because that was like a huge thing. I just happened to have the opportunity to move out here with a secure job. I happened to just bought my car. Like I happened to have a friend who was willing to drive. So if all those pieces didn't come together, I would have never even made that move. And I don't know where I would be because I feel like I have grown so much since I came out here. And that's one thing about me that I guess I should also commend myself a little bit more for is like, I don't really take into account, not in a bad way, but I don't take into account what other people have to say. Like if I really feel like I need to make a move or I need to do something, I'm going to do that thing.
Right.
And being that I never really had my parents to fall back on emotionally, I just feel like has made me very hyper independent where I'm always move what's best for me at the end of the day.
Right.
And unfortunately that has come with a lot of, increased strain on our relationship, given that there's a distance. But I think a part of me was hoping that it would kind of wake up their eyes about like, okay, I'm going across the country, like
but
fix shit.
Right. If you're like backed into a corner, like your options are like fight or flight, or freeze.
Yeah.
But yeah. Now that you are out here now, what's it been like to start going to therapy?
So I'm real early in that journey because it's the hyper independence. It's just the me think I could do it by myself, like not really feeling like, just feeling like I can figure it out, like, you know. But I think someone said something along the lines of like, if you had the answers, you would have already been figured it out. Like, you've been thinking about this for this long. Like, if you knew, you would have been able to fix it. So I think being out here, removing myself from that immediate threat, you could say, of like just a constant feeling like in a survival mode, like you said, like the flight or fight response, has definitely helped me. But in a way, it's made me face myself. And that I wasn't really too prepared for that, because I was just living so like kind of on the edge when I was back with my family, that being able to be here and being like, whoa, like I can breathe, like it makes you look in the mirror like, oh shit, like there's stuff that I have to work on. There's traumas that I have. There's shit that I'm crying about for no reason, you know, so stuff like that. It's kind of just opened up my eyes to like how much hurt that I really did absorb that I was just kind of ignoring.
Right. For me too, it's like, I feel like a lot of the things that I've been learning in my like young adulthood is like, oh my God, I'm exactly the same as my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I react to shit the same exact way. And like, you know, I want to change that. Just, you know, to be a better person, to be a better friend, to be a better, you know, family member, honestly. What have been your sources of support through this journey? Like, who are your biggest like supporters, friends? Like, what's your chosen family now?
Yeah, that's actually so funny you say that. I'm literally creating it like as I'm out here, because I really don't like talk. Like, I talk to like a lot of different people. Like, I feel like I'm pretty easy to talk to, but like in terms of like really telling them like what's up with my life, I got about 2 people, none of them are family, that I talk to. And so that's one thing that they're supporting me in. Even really just one, my good friend, Tyler, he is like encouraging me to like find people that like, you know, I chosen family that I just feel like completely comfortable with and like am able to share that vulnerable side of myself with, and like, not feel, I don't know, just, you know, just allow myself to open up. Yeah, because it takes a lot.
And then do you have any sort of like creative outlets that you've been accessing? I know you said you were a poet earlier, like, you know, to help you work through your feelings.
Yeah, I've actually been writing a lot more since I came out here. Like before I had moved out here, I probably had not picked up a pen in like years, like legit years. And I noticed as soon as I came out here, like it's like that block, like it was cleared up. It was, you know, I'm still not fully like, I feel like where I'm at where I want to be creatively, because I do want to, like, go to open mics and have like finished polished pieces. But that's definitely something that like helps me is, you know, writing my poetry, writing like raps and, performing.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, thank you so much for your time, Alexa. This has been Petals. I hope that folks are able to come every 2 Mondays.
Yes. Yeah. Find me on Instagram at MISSJUDGED. And yeah.
What's good, everybody? I'm Jamari Moore, and he is
Jaylen Hibbert.
And this is 143 Love Lane.
Welcome, y'all. So today we'll be talking about different avenues and outlets to mental health other than clinical approaches. So let's get into it.
You're just going to leave my hand out? I'll get the stupid little thing.
Look, y'all, look. Yeah. Make sure y'all edit that in. But, all right. So as a pioneering father, house creator, and all that jazz in the ballroom scene, how does ballroom help or affect your mental health?
You are so extra. It definitely is an outlet. It makes it a lot easier to cope sometimes when I have other things to focus on. And also, like, just my mental health sometimes is always in a disarray because of all kinds of other things. And having my kids sometimes there to support me when they can is definitely a good tool, I guess, for me as far as ballroom being considered. It just really helps me focus on like other things other than the drama going on in my life.
I feel that. Do you feel like where does more of the support come from? Is it the children or is it the parents?
The support as far as for me or as far as general being in ballroom?
In general.
It comes from the parents majority of the time. Like most parents I say most, not all. Most parents are very like headstrong and they have a good head on their shoulders and they understand. Most of them have all been through things. So when you have kids, it's easier for you to like nurture them and try to alleviate a lot of the drama that they may potentially go through. So it's just a lot easier to be like, don't touch that, it's hot. Even though the kids are going to touch it and we know it's hot. But it's easier for us to be that outlet. So when they do touch it and it's hot, we can come and bandage up the boo-boo.
Okay.
Fuck them kids.
Well, speaking of fuck them kids, how does ballroom affect your mental health? Not specifically towards the kids, but in general.
It leaves me all over sometimes. Sometimes I'm in a great mental space. Sometimes I'm stressed out and don't want to deal with the kids. Or I have my own worries that I need to worry about that I don't get to worry about. So it does become a little hectic at times, my own mental, because I'm just so focused on everyone else that I don't get to focus on myself sometimes. But I've learned how to shut the door and tell them no. I used to always say yes to everything when it comes to my kids, but now I've learned how to shut the door and turn the lights off and make sure that nobody bothers me while the lights are off until I can get myself together. So it also taught me how to get myself together faster. And sometimes in my own mental, it takes me for a long time. That doesn't make any sense. It takes me a long time to like, get my own things together. And so having the kids has taught me how to like really get myself together a lot faster. And so like, that snap out of it, you can do this kind of moment. And so it does help. It has helped me mentally, as far as just like being able to socially be okay, mentally be okay, physically be okay, and that mindset of being mentally not okay.
So ballroom could basically be like a cute little support system with the people that's in it and all that.
It most definitely is a very good support system, especially for mental health. I feel like in our community, a lot of people don't really get that mental like nourishment. I feel like a lot of us sometimes are so busy focused on being, something that we're not, because in ballroom we get to pretend to be other parts of ourselves, that we don't get to like really understand who we are sometimes. So like being in those spaces, especially having great parents, they like teach you how to be able to understand who you are and then still have those sub personalities that we, tend to express in ballroom.
Okay. So that's ballroom. And okay, I get that. What about your personal mental health? Like you talked about like how ballroom helps or affects that. Like what do you do for yourself?
I dance. I learned at a very young age that I'm not able to be Superman. Although I try to be Superman all the time, but I learned that I needed an outlet. And once my father passed, my outlet was dance. It was the place where I could express and be as fruitful as I want to be as myself. And one, get money from it. Two, relieve all stress and drama. Because originally I was a part of, the clown dance movement and, all that crumping was where we, was where we, relieved all that stress. So that was where I was taught to relieve that stress. Like when we was going through it and I had shit that was like really messing up my mind, like the other dancers would be like, let it out. And, we get to crumping and throwing our arms around and kicking and splitting all over the place. And after I was done or I won my battle, like I felt better. And so that was when I learned that like dance was my outlet. Like, okay, whenever I get stressed out, I dance. Like when I would get into arguments with my mom, I would go into my garage and just turn music on and dance and cry until I felt better. So I've figured out what my outlet is. I think a lot of people in general just don't know what their outlet is because all of us are so busy trying not to deal with our stress that we don't find ways to deal with our stress. So I feel like I was lucky to understand how to alleviate stress at a young age.
So what would be your advice for bitches who don't know how to deal with their stress? How could people find an outlet or some way to get it off?
I say deal with it head on. I think a lot of us tend to like thinking smoking and drinking can alleviate that. And I don't think that that's real, because once you sober up, guess what? They're still going to be there. So I feel like the best way to do it is really just start to understand that you can't fix all problems, and you have to have that yes and no thing. Yes, this is right. No, this is wrong. And understand that you're not going to be able to fix everything, and everything isn't going to go the way you want. Like having a 7-year plan is not a real thing to me. So just being able to go day by day is what I feel is the easiest way to deal with your stress, because a lot of people are so busy trying to like, I'm going to have a car and a house when I'm 37, and then they're 39 and they're living in a shack. So, you know, don't put those expectations on yourself. A lot of us are so busy following other people and not really being ourselves. And I feel like that is what causes stress. So busy trying to like make other people happy, make other people satisfied with who you are as a person. And the sooner you understand and learn who you are as a person, I feel like that was when like you learn to literally just not deal with stress. Like after going through so much in my life, I've learned to just say fuck it. And I think a lot of people don't have that no or the fuck it. So I put it in my life to always have a fuck it. If I was to get evicted tomorrow, I would just say fuck it and figure out one day at a time how I'm going to fix it.
How do you just say fuck it on getting evicted?
Because there's nothing you can do. You're going to either stress about it or you're going to make it work. And majority of the time, you're going to make it work. So fuck it is literally how it needs to be, because it's like you get 3 days to figure it out. So in those 3 days, you figure it out and you don't stress out about it. You go, fuck it. And if it doesn't, you just make sure you have a plan, an escape plan. And I feel like people don't do that. They're so busy. I can't call nobody else. Like people don't want to rely on others. They don't want help because they've been burnt in the past. But not everybody's the same. I know there's about 5 people that I could call and be like, bitch, I'm getting evicted. I'm gonna come stay with you. And there will be no questions asked. It'll be like, all right, here I'm come. What do you need? And I think we don't have that because people aren't okay with talking to people and telling them those type of things. And I think, like I said, I learned that along a young age. Like my mom and I moved a lot once my dad passed, and stayed with family members, stayed with people, and not because my mom wasn't financially stable or anything. It was just because she needed a dependent. She needed somebody there to care for and do that, because that was how she ticked. So when we moved from place to place or moved with my aunt, like it wasn't because we didn't have, it was just because she felt secure with somebody else there. And so I learned that, like, you know, I didn't want to depend on people. I wanted to be able to depend on myself, but there are times where you can depend on people. Like I said, we stayed with my aunt once and one of her best friends. And again, not because my mom literally like wanted to move out and just move in. We had our own place, but we were always there. So it was just one of those things where she felt better and I felt secure with knowing that if we did get evicted or there was something bad at that age, that we had a safe place to go. So it's like, you know, and trusting in those type of people that you know will always have your back will definitely alleviate stress and, you know, keep your mental at a different place. Who is ticking around here? Oh, that was a 5-minute warning.
Okay. Well then, thank you for all that. How do you feel about like mental health in relationships? And let's keep it 100. How does relationships affect, or how has our relationship affect your mental health?
You drive me fucking nuts.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
And then what?
That's it. Just nuts.
Okay.
Fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. No, you get on my nerves, but there's been more good times than there has been bad. So a lot of the times, that's what I count on. When you piss me off and I'm like, I'm leaving this thing, I can't do it no more. I think about all the good stuff and then I try to see how much bad is it there to where I could leave. And a lot of times we've had a lot of good times. When we're good, we're good. It does help to have someone there on a day-to-day basis when I go through stuff and I stress out. But sometimes it's bad because, you know, in relationships, you're learning your partner. So when I go through stuff mentally, you don't know how to deal with it because you're still learning me. Same thing with you. A lot of people are like, well, y'all been together 9 years. He should know by now. And sometimes I do feel like, yes, he should fucking know. But shit, I didn't understand who I was till I was 25. So it takes a lifetime for people to understand. I'm about to be of age. really soon. And I still am learning about myself and my tolerance and what I can tolerate, what I can't. So there's a lot of things that coexist to where, you know, I depend on you sometimes. And even though you don't know how to like fix the problem, I still depend on you. And I think those are good things to have in a relationship, being able to depend on each other. But at the same time, I'm not going to say but, I'm going to say and at the same time, you still are learning each other. So it does become very freaking frustrating when you expect the other party to understand, even though they don't. And it's like, fuck, I just needed you to grab my hand and kiss me on the forehead and tell me my boo-boo was going to be okay. But you don't understand that because, you know, we don't, not us in general, but people don't communicate what they want. Sometimes they just feel like this is going to make things work. Like I have telekinesis, or I can shoot my brain into yours and make you feel the way I feel. And I learned that by having these type of conversations. And I feel like people don't have these conversations, so they don't know how to cater to each other mentally because they don't talk about it. They get mad. That's why a lot of times with us, I'm like, don't go to bed mad at me. Or when you're upset with me, you're like, that's not appropriate time. There's never going to be an appropriate time for us to have a conversation because mentally for me, I need to be executed at that moment when I'm upset versus waiting. Because once I'm I'm over it by then. And once I'm over it, I don't want to talk about it anymore. And then it just becomes things that pile up back to back. And I don't want that. That's why a lot of times when we argue, I'm like, talk to me now. Don't wait till we leave for us to have that conversation. Because then for me, my love language is I need to be attentive and I need to know what I did to make you upset. And at that moment, you need to know what you did to make me upset. So that's why a lot of times you're like, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, well, we need to for my sake. And so, again, that is another thing where people don't understand. And that's why mental shit gets fucked up in relationships, because you're not mentally stimulating each other, and not in a sexual way, just mentally. Like I say, the boo-boo may hurt me and I may want you to hold it, but you may think like, oh, yeah, man, he'll be all right. But I'm a softie on the inside. So sometimes I get a little scrape and I scream, ouch. I want you to run to my, defense. Like, oh my God, babe, are you okay? To you, it may look like, oh my God, you're like a fucking baby. But to me, it's how I was raised. When I stubbed my toe at 5 or 6, my dad was there. Even though nothing was wrong, it was given, playing doctor. And, so that is what I want. And when I lost that at a young age, I feel like I expect it all the time because I didn't get to get it for over 20 years. So when I do get it, it's a blessing. It's, something that I can have that will make me, happy because I think about my father. I feel like I'm being catered to. It's just those type of things that I feel like we don't get in mental capacity with our significant others because we don't talk about it. And even us, we don't talk about it all the time. Like, I'm pretty sure right now you're nodding your head like, damn, I didn't know that. But that's because we don't talk about it. And we use our friends as outlets. I talk to John and I tell John this shit, but I don't tell you. So I feel like these are the things that we need to have, these conversations. And those little bitty conversations that we have help us throughout our lives with other shit. Because it may be something that you may go through that I may need to be there for, that I don't know how to be there for because we don't have those conversations. But so I believe having those mental connections with your significant other is the most important thing, because like people say, like, I should be able to communicate with you with a look. And you'd be like, oh shit, he's in trouble. Or, oh shit, he needs me. Versus like, I'm just like, oh my God, my leg is broken. And you're just looking at me. Like, what the fuck? Baby, it's all right. Your doctor's on the way. You're chill. Cool. But I don't want that. I want you to come put your arm around me, wrap a blanket, and tell me everything's going to be okay. The doctor's on the way. But that is my love language. And I feel like that is where the whole mental thing comes in, because everybody doesn't understand each other's love language. And so everyone's raised different. You come from a Jamaican background. I come from old country Southern background. So I have a lot of Southern hospitality built in me that you don't have. So those things that happen, not like that, I'm just saying in general, like
like that, but go ahead.
Whatever, if that's how you feel, bitch, man. But it's different. I have different, like, we all get raised with different morals. Nobody's household is ever going to be raised the same unless you live in that same household. And so even when I'm with you and I'm like with your family, I'm like, there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. Even the stuff that you don't see, like, how much, like, I can see how much your family really loves you and appreciates you. And I know you understand and you see it, but sometimes I feel like there's little pieces that you don't see. Like when you want to ask your dad certain things, and I'd be like, just ask him. Even with your whole coming out thing, like when he was like, I knew. I've been knew. You know, it's like those things that I feel like, and it's just probably because I'm older that I see that you don't see. So, like, again, that is where all that mental capacity comes in, and it becomes one of those things where that one little thing could be something that just drags along for years, and then it just continues to pile up with other stuff because you've never dealt with those things. And I feel like that's where our mental health, like, becomes, you know, at a disarray, because there are a lot of things that we don't deal with. We would rather not think about them than deal with them. And I feel like that's where we go. We don't deal with stuff. We just try to not think about it so that we don't have to deal with it. And I think that's what makes me a little bit different, because I like to hit things head on. If I have a problem, I want to feel that problem. I want to understand that problem. So when I go through it, I can be the recipient of all of that shit for my kids. So that's why, like, a lot of the times when you see me and I'm so mad at them, because I'm like, I learned in our relationship how to deal with them. I know if I can't talk to you in a certain way, I can't talk to them in a certain way, because, you know, you're one of my kids too at the same time. You're still my lover. So I have to double whammy you, because it's like you're my lover and my kid. So it's like, you know, that mental capacity in our relationship just becomes crazy, and just being able to hit it on the nose at every chance I get is what makes it easier.
That was a mouthful. We might have went over a little bit, but I don't care. My last little question is, what advice would you give to people who are tending to people in disarray or in some type of feeling, but also you don't know their love language? What is your advice for tending to people in some type of rut?
I think the best advice I could give is allow them to openly talk to them. A lot of the times, like, we want to say, what's wrong? Sometimes people aren't going to be able to tell you what's wrong. So you have to allow them. Put it this way. I've learned through all of my kids that I can't come to them with their problems. I have to let them come to me. If I know something is going to be wrong and I can be like, ooh, don't do that, I don't do it. I just allow it to go, okay, and I allow it to fall apart so I can pick up the pieces. So allowing people to make mistakes, allowing people to be themselves is the best advice I can give to someone that's trying to help someone. Because when you try to help someone, sometimes you don't want to come off as you're trying to be their parent, even though I am a parent. But that is in a ballroom world. I'm not biologically their parent. So sometimes, you know, as an adult, a lot of my kids is old. They don't want to hear from somebody that can technically be one of their peers that this is wrong. So sometimes I have to allow them to be wrong so that I can go, okay, you want to talk about it now? And then they'll talk about it. So a lot of times it's just really hard to, like, find a way to do that. So like I say, it's the easiest way is to just allow people to come to you with their problems and try to not pick them apart about it, but try to get them to understand why something is wrong versus telling them it's wrong.
I could dig it. You can't take medicines for other people's pains.
At all, bitch.
Like good old Armand said. But we out. That has been 143 Love Lane.
Oh, now you want to do it.
Come on. All right, he's making it awkward, but we're going to edit it so it looks right. There we go.
Why are you shaking it? Just hold it.
Hi, and welcome to Radiohead, not the band and not the job. No, that's not going to work.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We're still workshopping.
But welcome anyways.
We're going to be workshopping.
Yeah,
so my name is Jeremiah, and what do I say?
I'm Guillermo. Okay, we're off to a really good start.
I know, right? Okay, hey, welcome to Radiohead. I'm Jeremiah. That's it.
Yeah, there we go.
That's it.
And I'm Guillermo. Today's episode.
Oh, wait, no, I got it. Today's episode, we're talking about mental health in music, specifically for Mental Health Awareness Month. And so here at Reach LA, we have a bunch of mental health services. You already heard that segment, but now we're going to jump into it. How are you today, Guillermo?
This is probably one of the last segments we're recording today, and I'm really excited to be done. This is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work, y'all. So thanks for tuning in.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work.
But I like Radiohead because the other ones do an important job of talking about mental health and all those things, but now we just get to talk about music, you know?
But do we? Or do we get to talk about music and how it affects your mental health awareness month?
Or do we get to talk about, in preparation for this segment, me and Jamari were like trying to go over everything that we're going to do. And we're just like, it's going to be on religious trauma.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So trigger warning?
Oh,
it won't be that.
Like for us or like
for y'all?
I mean, if they made it this far into the show, like, you know, yeah, trigger warning though, because I know that, you know, one thing that I think I gravitate to you, and we have in common is our, I want to say previous life, but that's a part of my own mental health journey. If it's not my previous life, my whole life is my life, right? So early life, maybe. I know my life, I was heavily in a religious environment and religious background, and that caused a lot of the mental health issues that I faced in my life. You know, and I know you had that kind of going on too. Or would you want to share about that?
You know, without getting too graphic or like really into the nitty gritty about it, which is fine.
Go
you know,
graphic.
Oh, really?
Yes,
okay.
All gift.
Where's the car battery? Bring it up. If we really wanted to like talk about like religious trauma is something that has impacted my life heavily, and even like I'll listen to a song and it'll remind me of my like conversion therapy days, but different aspects of it, you know, like I'll listen to a song and I'll be like, oh, I listened to this right before I went into the La Sagrada Familia basement, or I said their name.
Oh,
in East
drop.
Cleveland.
Say it.
La Sagrada Familia. It means sacred family.
Now, what's the car battery thing?
Oh, when they hooked me up to the car battery, it's for conversion therapy.
Seriously.
Okay, the car battery was in the room. They didn't actually hook me up to it, but it was like a scare tactic. It was very like, if you don't
wait, so there literally was one.
Yeah,
I mean,
that would have killed me.
When you say, when you say that, I believe you.
Yeah.
Okay, like, so we're not doing that. But like, I thought you were saying a car battery. I didn't know it was a literal car battery. I thought it was like, okay, well, this was like the voltage.
I wasn't hooked to it. No, that would have killed me. Right?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be here if that were the case.
And you wouldn't be here without the music that carried you through it.
Electric Chapel by Lady Gaga. Like, come on. From Born This Way.
Seriously? Is that
it's just a really good rock Gaga song, but literally like Electric Chapel is very triggering to me.
It's very triggering to you.
Yeah, it like makes me think about it almost immediately.
What about it?
The name.
Oh, just the name?
Yeah, the song actually doesn't have as much. It's a lot more instrumental than anything. But the song title itself, I just immediately, which sucks because it's one of the best songs on Born This Way. But yeah, don't get sad.
I am getting a little sad. I'm like, oh, because I'm getting sad because I fucking get it. Like, it's like, you know, there's like, it's funny how like, it's not even funny. Well, it's funny how we like assuage our like trauma with humor sometimes. That's a whole other thing.
Oh yeah.
And you know, I definitely like wore my Dark Side of the Moon shirt on purpose because like, just dark. Also, like the first time I shroomed, I was listening to Pink Floyd in the Rose Garden over at USC, and that was nuts.
Yeah.
But I bring that up because it's just like I went through so much religious trauma too. So even the things that you're saying as far as like Electric Chapel, the title, like there's so many fucking triggers from that era of my life that still spill over into this life.
Well, it's crazy because I could we talked a little bit about Gaga before. We were just talking about her now, but like I can literally
never stop talking about Gaga,
and I never will. I can trace Gaga and like my story with her like as far back as Just Dance. Literally, Just Dance happened. Poker Face the Fame. I was in elementary school, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun," and I want to dance, but none of the guys are dancing. Then we get into Born This Way, and that's what, like 2011 is when I started to really figure it out. So it was like perfectly in line with that. Then Art Pop. My senior year, I was already out. I was so easy for me to like kind of correlate that with like, oh, she's weird and like celebrated for it. Well, that's why I'm very defensive of art pop because people like to criticize it, but that's when I really started coming out. So
you have a life. Your life was developing at the time, or you were
right alongside with Gaga,
alongside with Gaga's music, or Gaga also
music.
Do you tie them both? Like, do you tie the art to the artist even in your like life cycle when listening?
That's hard because with Gaga, I feel like I do just because I do have a sense of like her music saved me, you know, like I know that that's cheesy and everything, but at the end of the day, like I was listening to Born This Way and crying on the way to school, just like trying to like get that into my head that it was okay and celebrated.
I'm on the right track.
We don't have the rights. We don't have the rights.
It's a what do we say? It's a we're workshopping it. We're workshopping.
But do you have an artist that like has kind of like always been there for you? Maybe not saved you, but like
Jesus. No kidding. Okay. Yeah, I said it.
An artist.
No. Jesus is kind of a trigger word for me right now. But yeah, I do. I'd say like, as you're talking about Gaga and honestly, the whole like elementary school to middle school to, you know, all of those phases in life. I know particularly Kanye West for me, both in my life, maybe like, so one, when it came to like, actually it is Kanye West. Wow. Because like, I remember being on like the captain of like the church step team. And like, I was also in like a youth enrichment group outside of church. And so I was a step captain in church. And I remember when Jesus Walks dropped, like the second verse, I specifically know he doesn't cuss in the whole verse. I feel like it was intentional. It was actually well played. The first verse he does, you know, y'all eat pieces of shit. He says that in the first verse. But the second one, there were no curse words. And I know that because we used that in high school step group for church. They were kind of tripping out, but also it was kind of really forward thinking. So that was like a way where Kanye in the college dropout days came into the church world for like people like me that were like, okay, I'm raising this, but I don't really want to be here. And I'm shit, I'm in the closet. Yeah. Or, oh, no, I wasn't even saying I was gay yet, but I was sucking dick like I was. So I just try to get good at that in secret. And then like when it came to like after that, late registration was my freshman year of college. So literally the theme was like literally, you know, even though he dropped out, I was like, well, he's dropping out, but I'm going.
I'm going to stay here.
You know, and then even and even if we fast forward to like, you know, graduation was like my junior year or something like that. And we go to like, what was after that? Twisted Dark Fantasy. I think that was the darkest time in my life when that album came out. Also, right during that, right when that came out, he also dropped that Spike Jonze like short film, We Once Were a Fairy Tale. I think all in the media, that's when he was kind of blowing up after the Glow in the Dark tour, and I was kind of feeling myself like, yeah, I'm blowing up in my own career, but I still had like this dark shit that I hadn't come out yet. And then around that time too, for Twisted Dark Fantasy is when like I just like really offshot and like I just started partying and started doing drugs a whole lot. Yeah. And so I kind of feel like my life went with him.
We make it very personal when we listen to this music, and we like I can say, wow, Gaga was speaking right to me, Kanye was speaking right to you. But I mean, how much of it is actually just our own ego that we're imprinting on this artist?
I think it's a mix.
Yeah, totally.
I think there's intentionality. You know, artists can go in there and they're like, they know they're speaking to the masses or whatever, you know, whatever they're speaking to. They're also emoting a lot, I think, from themselves. With artists like a Gaga or Kanye, ones that are like what I deem complete artists, you know? That's really like
they almost went on tour together.
They almost did, right?
Yeah, Fame Kills. It's not pretentious.
That's not.
Maybe a little.
It is.
It's okay.
It is. It's not pretentious to you.
Is Kanye also so Mental Health Awareness Month? Is Kanye also the artist you listen to when you're feeling like stressed, anxious, whatever it may be?
Depends. Okay. So, and I'm gonna throw that back at you too. What the bottom's at? The callback from the off screen. Yes. Also, I would say Kanye's children. So, and I say that because I want to slide into like Frank Ocean. In my darkest times, like Twisted Dark Fantasy Kanye gives you like you get to relate to at least maybe the mindset, you know, there's a struggle of all this other shit until I couldn't relate to it anymore for maybe actually I don't have a diagnosis in places that he does or whatever. So, you know, I can't really relate like that. But the way that he depicts it, it shows, oh, this is the canvas of what's going on. I feel like Frank Ocean tied with the fact that like this motherfucker came out on Tumblr and I was like, oh my God, maybe I'll do it one day. I'm going to write my own op-ed and then put it in my like, you know, that I was able to at least relate to like, being queer and going through these emotions. You know, and I think that like, What's So I'm Blonde, that album, like that time was like in my darkest of, you know, specifically using like, you know, party drugs and shit and Tina and what it's being a product of growing up that in the gay community or in the queer community. And him saying like, you know, sprinkling like white on green, like those images, like I'm going through that too. How do I get out of this? I don't. So I don't know. I got to loathe in it. Do you find that like on any of the music that you like listen to, or like the soundscape that you surround yourself in when you're feeling and you don't want to feel anymore, you want to assuage any type of feelings, or, you know, if you're feeling down, what do you listen to?
It's really interesting. I whatever I'm feeling in the moment, I tend to kind of go in the opposite direction. If I'm feeling very down, depressed, sad, I will listen to Nicki Minaj and like hype myself up and like get my energy up there.
That doesn't make you more depressed? Kidding.
My God, how could
I know, I had to.
I like see her and see how radiant and successful that she is. How's that gonna make me sad? But then when I'm feeling very if I am having a good day, I'm going to sit there and listen to the Front Bottoms or Linkin Park and really like scream out. Because I don't know, there's something about having the energy to do so. So it's not about, for me, like you said, assuaging that emotion or like kind of like just going along with it. I always go against the grain. I don't know why.
Yeah. Very Gemini.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it right? I'm just throwing that out there, but
no, I think it's because a lot of people will look at it emotions very two-dimensionally, and meanwhile we have so many faces and attitudes and personalities that we're just like trying to like deal with all of that. So we just try to confuse our minds with it, I think.
Do you find that like with the artists that you stan or listen to, can you like gauge like their emotional state within a project or like in a song even?
It'll always change for me. I think that's the beauty of it too. Like when I listen to even like Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon, you know, like he was obviously, there was a lot going on there. And I can directly relate to that album just because he was growing up in Cleveland and I like experienced a lot of the things that he's talking about in that. But then when it gets to the end of the album, the closer, it's not called Whatever, but that's a big lyric in it. And it's one of my favorite songs on the album. It's just giving very, to me, I go to that song. I listen to the whole album to get to that song to celebrate, even though it's a very sad album. So yeah, I think it really just depends.
That's so emo.
Oh my God. It is. It can be.
It's sad, but I'm going to celebrate. Okay, what about songs in retrospect? Now I'm like really curious. Like when you listen to, you have like a nostalgia around a song from like say art pop era, right? When you listen to something like what's a track from art pop that really like speaking to your mental health and in that time, like that really did what it needed to do?
I won't say art pop, but Joanne, Perfect Illusion, also my favorite Gaga song.
Okay, why?
I was in a relationship with a straight man, and the song is all about being in love, but it's not real. It's a perfect illusion.
Girl, the trauma.
Right alongside the religious trauma too. It happened around the same time. It happened at the same time.
When you go back to that, so say you were to listen to that now, cue it up. No kidding.
I scream.
Do you?
It makes like I yell that song out. It does a lot for me.
Why?
It feels like a release. I'm someone that's gonna bottle up my emotions and like I will be having the most anxious day. But I won't like talk about it at all. So when a song like that comes on, no matter where I'm at with it, that is my favorite Gaga song for a reason. Like you're saying, or trying to allude to, like it pulls it out of me. And I think that's what music does. And that's what it can do for like people's mental health. What song is that for you?
That's so dope. Like the music moment. Like, yes, the radio does that. It fixes the head. We're workshopping.
We're about to like run out of time, but do you have a song? Like, what's your perfect illusion?
That's good.
We'll edit this like dead space, so don't worry about it.
My perfect illusion? Wait. I have a bunch of stuff. Wait. Like being in love with a straight man?
No. Well, do you have one? Because I know you have a straight man.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I'm not in love with him though anymore.
Me neither.
Anymore. I think that let's see. What's a song? Honestly, I like I'm having trouble even answering it. I'm gonna be all over the place because I'm like super like stimulated right now. One, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like Frank Ocean, Monks, the bass line on it. Okay, got it. Any song that is my person, the bass line and then and it's like mosh pits and wet tits. Like, I've never been to Coachella, but it's just like, this is beautiful flowers, but like this tormented like lifestyle of like, you know, this Forrest Gump type thing. And I'm not out yet. I'll come out on Tumblr in a month, you know, or whatever. So those sit. But I think for me, I grab toward like a nostalgia of a particular time where in those traumatic times, things felt good with that song, if that makes sense. So one that stands out for me is like, sometimes they go back to childhood, like Janet Jackson, If. It's not even anything about the lyrics or anything. It's just that pre-chorus. And then it goes into the chorus. That reminds me of at least one time in childhood where I felt safe. And that was like in summers when I would be in my auntie's like 1994 Acura Integra, and she had the hot leather seats, and we would be leaving Gardena, and she would surprise us and be like, we're going to Magic Mountain. And, you know, I was maybe like 8, but I know that I was staying, you know, I would be at my aunt's in the summer because there was a lot of bullshit going on. You know, I got molested like at an early age and was in like, you know, my mom was just in some abusive relationships. And so I was the oldest and I had to grow up really fast. But those types of songs, that sound, the chords is what really like moves me. Sometimes the lyrics don't match. Okay. Yeah. You know, sometimes they don't match. You know, you got like, I want to say any like Good Kid, Mad City kind of takes me to a place sometimes where I like listening to that movie, air quotes. But I know what I was going through in that place. Another song is January 15th by J. Cole off of the 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That intro, free from pain, free from start, all the way into that first one, like with that sample, it takes me to when I was in the lowest point of my drug addiction, but I was still keeping it pushing. And it kind of gives me that kind of nostalgia of like reminding me of that time. And then times after that, but like it at least takes me to that beginning time where I feel for whatever reason, like things were, you know, hopeful. Yeah. You know, and yeah, you know, when I'm really anxious, I go straight. Oh, I'll add one more since we're over time and it doesn't matter.
We make the rules. We're the directors.
It's our show. Here's your white shot. Give him a moment.
You don't tell me when I'm done.
You don't tell me. Put them cue cards away. Ain't no cue cards. Brandy B7 this past year, that album came out last year, and that's the album for 2020 for me. We went through so much manipulation, death, grief, crazy excitement. If you were in finance in the stock market, if you were in tech, you were making a bunch of money, but you were also coupled with like this virus that's killing everyone and you know, everything, right? So just haywire. But that album came out, and from start to finish, both chords and what she was saying, I mean, specifically, it's about her mental health. You know, the the second single, Borderline, she does a video. She's like in you know, an institution and kind of showing that artistically. All of it. She uses all the terms, everything. Her voice is butter. That album is honestly timeless for me as far as like what it means to listen to something that was specifically designed to express the artist, like what the artist is going through, have them come back and, you know, help the listeners, like, I love that, therapeutically. You know?
I guess to kind of like give us one last little bit to do, and I just thought about it right now, and you're probably gonna need another minute because it's gonna require you to think of a song. Okay. But I'll say mine because I already thought of it. If you could like tell our listeners one song that would like kind of depict your mental, not health, but maybe your mental state right now in this moment in time.
Oh shit.
Yeah. What would it be? But I'll go first. I'm going to say. Great. Yes. You don't have to listen to me so you can like think about it, but
I want to listen.
I'm talking to you.
At once.
Gemini. My song is definitely Leaf Pile by the Front Bottoms. It's another one of those songs where the bridge on it, do I seem anxious to you? Do I seem backed into a corner? Because if I had to make a move, then you can tell that I didn't want to. That song is it builds. They did something interesting on that last album about like they had a lot of spoken word, and so that part, the bridge, is a little more spoken word. But just for me right now with my mental health, Mental Health Awareness Month, it would be that. And just kind of like, if someone were to listen to that and be like, is this what's going on in their head? I'd be like, yeah, that's about it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't listen to the front bottoms, y'all, because you're just gonna listen to it.
Listen to the front bottoms because you keep on talking about the front bottoms.
But people listen to it and they're like, Kimmel, this is what you listen to. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, those people. But there's a ton of other people that'll be like, oh.
And then if you get it, you get it. And then I really fuck with you at that point.
And if you don't, act like you like it. No? No, that's not. That's not right. That's not good for Mental Health Awareness Month.
No. Were you able to think of one?
Oh, it's gonna be something old.
That's fine.
Steven's very old.
At this point, like you're 6 minutes over.
Oh, bet. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely in this like class of 1974 mode right now. I blew the hair out on purpose. Like I'm like, okay, let's see. Shit. I don't know. I've been like trapped in the 70s and the 80s as far as like music is concerned right now. Maybe it's I don't even know. I'm also in love. I'm in love right now. Look, okay, let's just get for the sake of time. It's Tina Marie, Portuguese in Love. That's my shit right now. That's my life. I'm really focused on it's really a me season. And one thing exactly. One thing that's it's an Issa moment. Things that are sticking out to me right now from that song are like, you make love forever. It's cute. Like I'm trying to go rounds, it takes me a while to come because of other trauma, physical trauma from, that. So, and that's, so I can go rounds and, and do them passionately. And I think that's something that, I'm just intellectually thirst trapping right now. So,
I was about to say, what's your Instagram for everybody that wants to find you now?
You can find me.
All right, we gotta get out of here. Steven just like leaned back into his chair like these.
I totally did not even care about the time. We were so strict on the rules and they were like,
all day I've been like tapping on the board like, you're over time, we gotta go, and here we are.
Salad. Aside. So well, that's been this show. What's this show?
Radiohead.
That's been Radiohead. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to follow us, like, share, subscribe on our YouTube, or follow us on Instagram at reach_LA. And we'll keep playing the tunes. That was so lame. We'll keep playing the tunes.
There you go. That's also it for the reach around. This will be the last segment. We'll do the other thing. But we have some exciting news. If y'all are following us on Instagram at reach_LA, you'll see that we are going to be at DragCon this year.
We will be at DragCon this year.
So come say hi.
May 13th through the 15th.
We're really excited about it. They did the whole like official poster for us that you shot here. It was really fun.
They did. It's great.
Make sure to come say hi at that. And we'll catch you for the next reach around where we still won't be giving you one.
But you're sure to have a... Sorry.
Go for it.
Cut.
But...
Have a good time.
Cut.